Global Transformation Astrology, GTA, with William Stickevers.
So with Pluto, with the fourth turning, we have plutocracy, right? Corporatism, corporate ideology. Corporatist ideology is now systemic in America. So corporatism, characterized by the merger of corporations and the state, is replacing traditional liberalism and posing significant challenges to the foundational principles of individual freedom. It's an issue more urgent and complex than the classical debates surrounding socialism and capitalism. Historically, corporatism was viewed as a right-wing manifestation of Hegelian statism, requiring institutions to serve the state. However, over time, its scope has become global, involving not only governments and corporations, but also non-government organizations and large foundations. Corporatism often results in censorship, restriction, and on individual liberty. So corporatism, right? It's the corporate policy to keep your mouth shut, to get vaxxed, don't ask questions, right? Basically, we're telling you what words you are to put in your mouth in a meeting, how you're going to say it, restrictions on individual liberty, right? Freedom of speech. We will deplatform you, we will demonetize you, right? Corruption at the highest level. It's not the low level third world corruption where you have to pay off police officers who pull you over when they claim you're speeding, right? Right? They claim, well, you went through a stop sign. If you don't pay them off, like in Argentina, you'll go to jail. So they just want, so it's not that type of corruption. It's very high level, sophisticated corruption at the highest levels of state and corporations. And this leads to protracted economic stagnation and societal division, particularly between the different classes. So that's why we see, right, like California, you have the richest and the poorest people all living in one state, and the gap is getting wider and wider. And yet a majority of people think what? Everything is fine. Everything is awesome, right? So this is the problem where corporatism policies supersede individual thinking. And we see censorship, and we have totalitarian democratic censorship, or totalitarian democracy in the censorship industrial complex, which includes governments, intelligence agencies, global corporations, NGOs, and self-proclaimed disinformation experts who get to deplatform people. And I'm not just saying corporations, I'm talking like when you have the head of a certain astrology organization decides to deplatform someone in a group, right? Because they don't like the astrology they're saying. All right, so it's not just corporations and governments or Facebook, right? Or YouTube. We're talking about people who go along with this narrative. And you know, and then we have secret meetings with various international figures, right? We have like these type of secret meetings. So basically global censorship, totalitarian democracy, global censorship and propaganda. Basically, there's a worldwide systematic implementation of totalitarian tactics such as censorship, official propaganda, criminalization of dissent. That could be, I post something, let's say if I post something on RFK Jr. and YouTube, I could be deplatformed or at the very least demonetized, right? Like RFK Jr., he's been deplatformed on Facebook, for instance, right? Reality manipulation. So the role of major organizations, large entities, governments, corporations are involved in a broad campaign of information control and public perception management, resulting in a division of society. The narrative speaks of developing a societal bifurcation into normals, right? The blue pill folks who accept and propagate the official narrative, and deviants or extremists or deplorables who question and resist them. So this is all part of the fourth turning. Now I'm going over this because I know when Neil Howe comes out with his book in 10 days or so, right? Everyone's going to, right? So, you know, I want to point out that this is what the astrology of the fourth turning is. And then we have the power dynamic that we have a global hegemonic post-ideological power system, which is like global Corp or Corporatocracy Global Corporatocracy Inc., which basically operates above any constitutional law, national sovereignty, focusing on creating a reality that serves its own interest. And this reality is at odds with the interest and perception of the public, causing the friction and conflict we see around the world, but does not take responsibility for it because it is not happening, meaning it's happening in plain sight. And it's causing the friction because the friction is necessary for people to be distracted for what their plan is. And this narrative calls for, right? So basically, this is part of this censorship complex, weaponization, anti-disinformation as a tool, and minority reporting style policing of everyday speech and political difference. We're going to see a lot more of that as we get further into the campaign. And this is all part of this fourth turning campaign. So this is not just a fourth turning. This is not just another political campaign. This is the fourth turning third act. So you could say Obama was the first act of the fourth turning. Trump was the second act of the fourth turning. And then this election and who will become president will be the third act of the fourth turning, the third and final act. So now, if we keep Uranus, we have Pluto, right? We've achieved, right? The deep state has achieved totalitarian democracy. RFK Jr., you're not gonna be listed on Iowa, New Hampshire, and South Carolina. And Democrats listening to this, you're okay with it. Some of you already told me that's fine with you, right? You're seeing like a form of totalitarian democracy where people are not going to debate with each other. No one's going to debate Biden, right? This type of thing, and people are fine with it. They're going to reelect someone, right, based on these so-called democratic principles, but they are totalitarian in nature. And of course, the plutocracy, which is really the plutocracy of corporatism, the corporate ideology. All right, so you have a plutocratic government with a technological corporatocracy that operates, that takes the dictates, that operates as policy, that takes the dictates from this oligarchy or plutocracy. And then you have this totalitarian democracy and the censorship industrial complex, Fox News, CNN, all of the mainstream. So this is where we're at going into this election cycle. And when we look at the history of the Uranus returns, we could see, right, the second Uranus return, that was definitely World War II. Now we're going into the third Uranus return, right? We don't know what that's going to be about, but Uranus rules technology.
To watch the full presentation and more like this on geopolitics, the economy, and world events from an archetypal and mundane astrological perspective, join the Global Transformation Astrology membership. Go to gta.williamstickevers.com. Become a GTA member today.